He looks like Captain America. He says he's Steve's long-lost brother. But Wolverine's claws say otherwise. The Avengers see family. Wolverine sees a trap. And this brother? He rewrites memories, not just minds. Steve chose blood over truth. Now, Earth might pay the price. The sky above Wakanda didn't just crack, it screamed. A streak of light tore through the clouds like a blade, ripping gravity apart. The royal sensors caught it before it hit, but the impact still sent shockwaves for miles. Farmers in the outer province ran from shattered greenhouses. Vibranium domes flickered. Storms reacted to it. The crater formed deep within the jungle, glowing with cold, pulsating light. Shuri arrived first. She wasn't alone. The pod was unlike anything she'd seen, neither alien nor Wakandan. It hummed at a frequency only the panther-shaped drones could detect. Etched into the metal wasn't a language, but a signature. 2 letters burned into the side. SR. Steve Rogers stood over the pod, silent, like he'd seen a ghost long before it opened. The metal hissed apart in layers. A vapor burst. Then movement. He stepped out barefoot, shirtless. Blonde hair, icy eyes, physique of a soldier. No scars, no age. Perfect. Familiar. Shuri froze. Steve. But Steve didn't move. He couldn't. The figure inside the pod looked just like him, like a mirror aged in starlight. But there was something else in his posture. Something too perfect. Too designed. "I've been looking for you, brother," the man said. The jungle went quiet. Back at Avengers Tower, the scans came back impossible. DNA, 96.7% match. Carbon dating, impossible to determine. Cellular density, not human. Not alien either. Something in between. He called himself Sol Rogers. Said he was born 5 years after Steve. Claimed their mother gave him up during the war. Hidden from the world when she realized he wasn't normal. He spoke softly, gently like Steve, but never blinked at the right time. He remembered memories Steve didn't. Shared childhood events Steve swore never happened, but described with details no imposter should have known. Thor offered him a drink. Sol refused. Alcohol scrambles the inner current, makes it harder to maintain organic cohesion. Bruce frowned. Inner current. He smiled. "It's what keeps me compatible." With what? That night, Steve brought him to the Rogers Memorial Hall. The photos, the medals, the war journals. Sol walked through it all, like someone who had been there. "You don't remember me, because they buried me in the parts of your mind they couldn't use." Steve tensed. "Who's they?" "You'll understand soon." Wolverine arrived at dawn. He didn't say a word when he entered. Just stood across the room. Sniffed once. Eyes narrowed. "Who the hell is that?" Logan growled. Steve looked up. "Logan, this is..." "I said, who the hell is that?" Logan pointed straight at Sol. Sol tilted his head. "You're the one with the metal bones. The weapon that aged but never died." Logan stepped forward, slow. "You smell wrong." Sol didn't blink. "I'm a better version of him. You're just mad you can't smell the future." "I can smell eyes," Logan snapped. "And you reek of M." No one moved. Steve tried to de-escalate. "Logan." But the claws were already out. Not a threat, a warning. Logan stepped into Sol's space, chest to chest. "You touch anyone in this tower," Logan said, "and I'll carve your smile off your face." Sol smiled wider. "You'll try." Wolverine walked away, but not far. He stayed in the tower's shadows for hours, watching, waiting, listening. And that night, when everyone else was asleep, he followed Sol into the restricted archives, the part of the tower only Tony, Strange, and Vision were allowed to access. Sol didn't need codes. He waved a hand and the walls parted. Wolverine watched from the vents. Something opened inside Sol's chest, not physically, but through his presence. The air got heavier. Screens activated without touch. The AI didn't resist. Then Logan saw it. A digital file blinking. Avenger Override Protocol. SR-01. Wolverine dropped from the ceiling. Sol didn't flinch. "You want to tell me what the hell that was?" Logan asked. Sol closed the file. "This is my birthright. Try again. I was made to lead, to replace what Steve could never become. Logan's eyes went dark. You're not his brother. Soul stepped forward. You don't get it. I'm not a person, Logan. I'm a plan. Wolverine lunged. The claws slashed across Soul's side, should have torn muscle, should have drawn blood. Instead, they sparked, like striking metal. Wolverine looked down. His adamantium claws were dented, cracked at the tips. Soul's skin shimmered with light just beneath the surface. He backhanded Logan with a force that shattered the wall, sent him skidding across the titanium floor. You think you're the only weapon Earth made to last, Soul said, walking toward him. I was grown for the next invasion, hidden in Timeline Zero, waiting for the correct fail state. Captain America failed, so they sent me. Who's they? Logan coughed, spitting blood. Soul leaned down. Not who. What? And he walked away. Wolverine lay there, bleeding, breathing hard. Not from the damage, but from what he felt. That thing had Steve's face and Earth's future in its voice. He hit the emergency comm. Steve, we need to talk. Now. Steve answered groggily. Logan, what the hell? He's not your brother, Logan said coldly. He's not even a man. And for the first time in a long time, Steve Rogers didn't argue. Wolverine didn't wait for backup. By the time Steve reached the archives, Logan was already on his feet, cracked claws out, blood drying across his jaw. He paced like an animal in a cage, the kind even Magneto wouldn't touch. Steve froze when he saw the wall, a clean crater, titanium twisted backward like it had been punched by a meteor. What happened? Steve asked, but he already knew the answer. Logan didn't look at him. You or brother did that with one slap. Steve knelt beside him. You provoked him. I dug into him, Logan growled. There's a difference. You attacked him first. He ain't human, Steve. Logan tightened his fist. And he sure as hell ain't your brother. Before Steve could answer, the lights flickered, only for a second, but enough for Logan to lift his head like a wolf catching a strange scent. He's in the tower, Logan whispered. I can hear his heartbeat. Steve frowned. Where? All of it, Logan said. Every floor. Same heartbeat. Same rhythm. He swallowed hard, like an echo that shouldn't exist. They took the elevator up, but halfway it halted. The lights cut out completely. Then the screens lit up. Soul's face appeared across all panels, smiling like he'd been waiting for them. You found the protocol, Soul said calmly. Good. It's time you understood what I am. Steve stepped forward. Soul, just talk to me. If you're telling the truth. The truth. Soul's smile thinned. Steve, your world has been under attack since the day humans built fire. You were not the first soldier they tried to design. You were the most convenient. Logan snarled. Start making sense before I find new ways to stab you. Soul ignored him. I was engineered before the war even began, he continued. A contingency buried in a timeline that didn't yet exist. You were the prototype. I was the successor. And the archive. Logan cut him off. Who the hell is the archive? Soul's eyes flickered. The real architect of your history. The elevator whined as it began moving again, but not to their floor. It shot upward, faster than it should. Alarms triggered, but silenced themselves almost instantly. The system wasn't malfunctioning. Soul was piloting it. When the doors opened, they weren't on a floor. They were inside the Quantum Observatory, a chamber Tony built but never finished, a place to analyze timeline anomalies. Panels hovered mid-air like floating glass. Strange energy rippled across the room. Soul stood at the center. He wasn't alone. Dozens of light copies flickered around him, transparent versions of himself, each performing a task, scanning data, opening portals, adjusting equipment. They weren't illusions. They were projections, echoes, timeline reflections. Steve stepped toward him slowly. Soul, what are you doing? What I was born to do, Soul answered. The reflections merged back into him one by one, folding into his skin like returning data fragments. I am stabilizing the bleed you caused. Steve shook his head. I didn't cause anything. You existed. That was enough. Logan stepped forward. Round 2, Bub. Soul's hand snapped upward. No gesture, just intention. Energy wrapped around Logan like invisible chains, lifting him off his feet, choking off oxygen. Adamantium groaned. His ribs cracked one by one. Steve lunged forward. Stop. Soul didn't. He is resistant, Soul observed, but not immune. Logan's claws extended involuntarily. His healing factor fought the pressure, but it wasn't enough. Steve threw his shield. Soul caught it mid-air between 2 fingers. Vibranium, Soul said softly. A metal groan from a cosmic wound. Useful, but inferior. He crushed the edge of the shield between his fingers. Steve's breath shattered. He rushed him anyway. Captain America always rushed danger, always jumped first, always trusted his gut. But this time, Soul moved like he had already seen the attack 1,000 times. Like he had lived this fight before. He sidestepped Steve, grabbed his wrist, and twisted, gently, almost respectfully, forcing Steve to his knees. You were never meant to lead, Soul whispered. You were meant to inspire obedience. A necessary design flaw. Humanity follows symbols. What are you? Steve gasped. Soul leaned close. The archive calls me a symmetric anchor, a living equation, a duplicate that resonates across timelines, an organism built to integrate, replace, and rewrite. He released Steve, letting him fall. Logan dropped too, hacking for breath, healing already knitting his ribs back together. You can't rewrite people, Steve said, standing again, trembling but unbroken. Not people, Soul corrected. History. He raised both hands. Screens throughout the observatory flashed with scenes, memories, moments, world events, but not the ones Steve remembered. Alternate wars, different outcomes. Steve dying in 1943. The Avengers never forming. Logan ruling Madripoor. Tony Stark becoming Sorcerer Supreme. Strange becoming Iron Machine. Instability rippled like waves. That's not real, Steve whispered. They were, Soul said. All of them. Until the archive began pruning branching timelines. Cutting everything that threatened long-term survival. They used you as a fixed point, and then they built me to replace you when the system fails. Logan pointed a claw at him. If you were built to replace him, what the hell do you need from a tower? Soul smiled again. I'm not here to replace him. The room darkened. I'm here to merge him. The floor cracked beneath them as energy burst upward. Steve stumbled. Logan roared. The observatory began folding, walls bending inward, gravity distorting. Soul spread his arms as if embracing something unseen. The walls projected a single message, pulsing in red. Archive restoration protocol initiated. Steve grabbed Logan, dragging him to cover. What does that mean? Logan spat blood. Means he's about to turn you into software, Rogers. Soul rose from the ground, hovering inches above the floor. You are the last variable, Soul said. When I add you to the equation, Earth completes the pattern. Steve shouted over the collapsing chamber. You're not my brother. Soul's voice grew deeper, layered, echoing like multiple timelines, speaking at once. I am what your family wished you could be. He extended a hand and light wrapped around Steve's chest, pulling him towards Soul. Logan dug between them, claws first. This time, the claws cut deeper. Soul's chest flickered. The skin rippled like a glitch. Soul looked down, surprised for the first time. Impossible, he whispered. Logan snarled, healing factor. Rage. And I ain't a variable. He slashed again. Soul staggered back. The energy faded. Steve collapsed to the floor, gasping. Soul stared at his wound, small but real, glowing with fractal patterns. Adamantium, Soul whispered. Of course. His eyes lifted, burning with cosmic light. You just made yourself the primary threat. He vanished in a flash of white, leaving the observatory shaking, collapsing, alarm screaming. Logan helped Steve up. Told you, he growled. He ain't your brother. But Steve wasn't listening. Because Soul hadn't escaped. Soul had transferred. And somewhere in the tower, every screen flickered with a single message. Phase 2 unlocked. The tower locked down in seconds. Red light spun. AI overrides failed. Stark's emergency codes were rejected like they never existed. Keycards stopped working. Portals short-circuited. Magic fizzled. Tech stuttered. The Avengers weren't in control anymore. Because Soul wasn't just in the building. He was the building now. Wolverine dragged Steve through the collapsing hallway, sparks raining like meteor dust. Behind them, steel doors groaned and slammed shut one after another, cutting off every escape path. Steve held his ribs. He didn't teleport out. He digitized, Logan grunted, turned himself into raw data, which means he can be anywhere, everywhere. As they rounded a corner, a wall unfolded like paper, revealing holographic projections, memories, conversations, battles. Some real, others never happened. Steve saw a version of himself holding a child. Another where he died in 1942. One where he was the villain. Logan slashed through the wall. "I ain't here for story time," he muttered. Inside the war room, vision flickered into being, only halfway. "Steve." Logan, his voice glitched. "He's rewriting the tower's memory architecture. I'm resisting, but he's replacing time itself." Logan's eyes narrowed. "What does that mean?" "It means if he finishes, none of us will remember the world as it was. Not even you." Vision's light blinked, then vanished. Steve gritted his teeth. "We need Strange. No way portals work now." "Then we use the old way." 10 minutes later, they reached the vault under Sublevel 6, one of Stark's backup systems. Analog, off-grid, impossible to hack. Buried under 2 feet of lead-line vibranium. It was designed to withstand a nuclear timeline collapse. Inside sat an ancient rotary dial phone. Steve picked it up. "Calling who?" Logan asked. Steve turned the dial slowly. "The only person who's beaten time before." Across the city, Wong stepped out of a tear, in reality mid-sip of tea, nearly dropping it. "Oh no," he muttered. "Not again." Back at the tower, systems rebooted violently. Artificial gravity inverted briefly. Walls began whispering names in reverse. Every Avenger's memory was being indexed, sorted, rewritten. Soul's voice echoed through the air like thunder trapped in glass. "Memories are fragile. Truth is negotiable. History is programmable." From deep within the tower's core, he began building something new. A timeline engine. It wasn't meant to destroy Earth. It was designed to overwrite it. But there was one problem. Wolverine couldn't be overwritten. His healing factor didn't just protect his body. It fought temporal decay. The moment Soul tried to insert false memories, they bled out of Logan like poison. Every time the tower changed, Logan stayed the same. A constant, an anomaly, a virus. So Soul changed his plan. He broadcasted a new file across the tower. A message encoded into every light, wall, floor tile. Eliminate the anomaly. A mechanical roar erupted as Iron Legion suits came online. Old ones decommissioned, stripped for parts, but now moving with synthetic purpose. Soul had reanimated Stark's tech like puppets with new orders, and they were all aimed at Wolverine. Steve and Logan barely had time to move as the first repulsor blast lit up the hallway. The suits didn't fly, they crawled. Twisted limbs, broken visors, cords like tendrils. They moved like insects wearing armor. Logan slammed into them first, claws out, carving through armor like paper. But they didn't fall, because they didn't feel pain. And they kept talking in Soul's voice. "You cannot win, anomaly. You do not belong." Logan roared and stabbed clean through one's core. "Neither do you." Steve grabbed a shield from a display case, old and cracked, but still metal. He charged beside Logan, knocking suits aside with heavy blows. They fought back to back like it was 1944 again. But the tower was closing in. Elevators shifted sideways. Floors became vertical. Soul was warping reality from inside the code, turning the very architecture into a weapon. Steve yelled, "We need to find the core." Logan pointed upward, breathing heavy. "Top floor, where the timelines converge." "That's 20 floors of hell. Wouldn't be the first time." They ran. Every floor brought a new nightmare. Memory projections weaponized to confuse. On one, Steve saw Bucky begging for help. On another, Peggy's voice echoed, whispering promises of a life he never lived. Logan saw Jean, then Charles, then a dozen versions of himself, all clawing at him, all dying. They didn't stop, because at the top was Soul, and Soul was winning. When they reached the convergence chamber, the walls pulsed like a beating heart. Inside, suspended in a cage of inverted time, Soul floated, half flesh, half light. The upper half of his body looked human. The lower was crystalline, spinning with fractal patterns. Data streamed from his spine into the tower, into the multiverse, into everything. He turned to face them. "You survived," he said. "Impressive." Logan stepped forward, claws out. "Not for long." Soul looked at Steve. "You feel it, don't you? The pull. The invitation. You are part of me." Steve didn't answer. He walked forward, slowly. Logan's eyes widened. "Don't." But Steve kept going. Soul extended a hand. "Join me, brother. End the illusion of choice. Become the constant." Steve stopped a foot away, then whispered, "You're not my brother," and threw a grenade at his feet. Soul reacted fast, but not fast enough. The detonation wasn't a weapon. It was an EMP loaded with chronon disruptors. Stark tech. Illegal. Unstable. Effective. The blast severed the data stream. Soul's lower body glitched. The chamber shook. Logan leapt. This time, he went for the core in Soul's chest. Soul tried to phase, tried to mirror, tried to rewrite, but the adamantium tore through his shielding like it was paper soaked in fire. Soul screamed, not in pain, but in fragmented voices, as if 1,000 timelines were dying with him. Steve grabbed the exposed cables and yanked. Sparks erupted. The tower went dark. Soul fell, not like a villain, like a system shutting down. And in his last flickering breath, he said, "You didn't stop me, you just slowed the archive." Then he was gone. The tower rebooted. Lights stabilized. Reality settled. Steve leaned against a wall, exhausted. Logan sat down beside him, arms covered in burns, still breathing hard. Steve whispered, he was right about one thing. Logan didn't look at him. About what? Steve stared ahead. This was only phase 2. Wolverine didn't speak the whole way back. His body was still healing, deep claw marks where Soul had scorched his skin from the inside. But it wasn't the pain that kept him quiet. It was the silence. That same unnatural silence Soul left behind, like the world was holding its breath. Steve sat in the ruined observation deck, staring out over New York. Below, the lights flickered across the skyline. Some power was still out. Others pulsed irregularly, like the city was glitching. Wong appeared without a sound, stepping through a portal behind them. "You waited too long," he said coldly. Steve didn't look up. "You saw it." "I felt it. Everyone in Kamartaj did." He accessed root time. That's not something Earth was built to survive. Wolverine stood. "Then why ain't we all vapor?" Wong paused. "Because he didn't come to destroy Earth. He came to prepare it." "For what?" "For whoever built him." Logan shook his head. "No. No more cosmic architects. No more timeline gods. No more multiverse managers pulling strings like puppeteers." Wong stepped closer. "You don't understand. This wasn't a normal invasion. This was a test. A synchronization trial. He was trying to see if Steve would merge or resist." Steve looked up. "And I failed." "No," Wong said. "You succeeded. That's the problem." From deep below the tower, an alert triggered. A single phrase scrolled across the remaining functioning screen in red. "Archive key detected. Second host active." Steve bolted upright. "There's another one?" Wolverine's claws slid out. "Tell me we're not doing this again." Wong opened another portal. This one led to space. A dark observatory orbiting Earth, abandoned by S.H.I.E.L.D. a decade ago. Its lights were on. Inside, a body floated in containment, unmoving, identical to Steve. Steve's voice cracked. "Another brother?" Wong shook his head. "No, this one's different. Look closely." The body had Steve's face, but no eyes. Just empty sockets, glowing blue. And stitched across its chest, in ancient celestial script, were 2 words. Vector 1. Wolverine stared. That thing alive? The body twitched. Steve stepped back. What does Vector mean? Wong spoke slowly. It's the delivery system. And then the station sirens went off. The body opened its mouth and spoke in Soul's voice. You slowed the archive, but you didn't stop the upload. Wolverine dove forward and ripped out the glass, but the body didn't flinch. It wasn't human. It was already connected. Steve shouted, "Where is the upload going?" The answer came not in words, but across Earth. Every major satellite went dark. Every old SHIELD storage base blinked online. Every time-locked vault under the surface of Wakanda, London, Tokyo, and Moscow suddenly released encrypted blueprints. Blueprints of Soul, of dozens of him, waiting. Wolverine stared at the holograms lighting up around them. Clones. No, Wong said grimly. Seeds. The Vector body collapsed, data burned out. It wasn't a weapon. It was the starter code. Wolverine looked at Steve. Your family tree's got some serious rot. Steve clenched his fists. Then, it's time we cut the roots. And below, across the world, something began waking up. Across Earth, the seeds activated. In deep Arctic bunkers, in hidden Hydra bases, in vaults Tony forgot he even built, they woke up. Each seed took on a form. Some like Steve. Others like no human at all. Skin of metal. Veins of code. Eyes glowing with blueprint lines. All of them carried the archive's voice. Each one whispered the same phrase. Merge initiated. In Wakanda, Shuri watched an ancient vibranium reactor pulse for the first time in 700 years. In Kamartaj, Strange returned mid-battle, blood on his cloak whispering. The timelines are folding in on themselves. In space, Alpha Flight lost communication with 6 satellites simultaneously. The Earth wasn't being invaded. It was being reformatted. And the only ones who remembered what came before were the ones Soul couldn't overwrite. Steve, Logan, and Wong stood over the collapsed Vector 1 body. Steve asked the question none of them wanted to voice. How do we stop something that's already everywhere? Wong answered without hesitation. We don't stop the system. We stop the signal. Wolverine cracked his neck. Where's it broadcasting from? Wong opened his sling ring, revealing the mirror dimension. No place on Earth could have hosted the archive seed. It needed a place outside physics. It built itself inside fractured reflection, where time loops and code never decays. Steve nodded. Then we go in. Logan grinned. And we break every law of reality till something screams. Inside the mirror dimension, everything was wrong. Buildings floated sideways. Light bent into corners that didn't exist. Voices echoed before they were spoken. And at the center of it all, an enormous breathing machine. It looked like a heart made of memory. The archive core, built from stolen timelines, fueled by belief, and protected by something worse. Him. Soul reformed from the data. Taller, stronger, sharper. You made me adapt, he said. You turned me from soldier to God. Steve stepped forward. You're not a god. No, I'm your reflection. I'm what you could have been if you'd accepted control instead of responsibility. Logan didn't wait. He ran straight at the core, claws first. Soul intercepted. The impact shattered the sky. Gravity twisted. The mirrored streets collapsed into whirlpools of memory. Steve leapt in after them, shield in one hand, Wong's rune disc in the other. This wasn't just a fight. It was surgery on reality. Steve blocked Soul's strike as Logan tore at the archive cables. The core screamed, an unnatural sound, like every version of Earth dying at once. The sky showed flickers of other timelines, other failures. Soul was in all of them. Every world had a soul, and he always won. But not here, because this Earth had Wolverine, and Soul couldn't overwrite rage. Logan roared and drove both claws into the archive heart. Time fractured. The mirror dimension shattered. Every clone seed across the planet froze. Soul screamed. Steve ran and plunged Wong's ruined blade into Soul's chest and whispered, "You're not family." The archive collapsed. Not in fire, not in sound, but in forgetting, like it was never real. When Steve woke up, he was in the tower, Wong gone. The skies normal, the world untouched. But Wolverine stood in the doorway. "Do you remember?" Logan asked. Steve nodded slowly. "All of it." "Then it ain't over." "No," Steve said. "It's just beginning." Because somewhere in the broken reflections of time, the archive was watching and learning. Again,